Hey everyone, it's Dr. H, your friendly wargame guy at the Air Command and Staff College, and we're going to talk about some special movement. We're going to talk about air movement, air mobile movement, paradrop, and sea movement. There's also naval movement and amphibious assaults. We're going to talk about that in a different video. So stay tuned for that, or if you're really dying to know, go find that video or look up the rules. They'll be great. So let's start with air movement. Air Command and Staff College. Let's do it. So, air movement basically means I'm loading dudes onto airplanes. You have a certain number of air movement points. You use up one air movement point for every stacking value of the unit you move. You can only move infantry units this way. Right, so you can't move mechanized units or armored units or artillery units. The only thing you can really move is leg infantry or light infantry. To use air movement, what you're going to do is you're going to have your unit at an airport, an airbase, right? The black circle with a fighter jet on top of it. And then you're going to spend a number of air points equal to the stacking value of the unit, and you're going to move it to another airbase. Pretty simple. Once it's at that airbase, it gets half of its movement left. So, in short, I start in an airbase. I spend a number of air points equal to the equal to the stacking value of the unit. It can only be a leg infantry unit or a light infantry unit. I pick up that unit. I move it to another airbase. I have half my movement left. I have the option of using air movement points for paradrop. Only airborne units may paradrop, right? So got to really look at the symbol, see if it's got the parachute on it. I start at an airbase, and then I pick a hex that I would like to airdrop into, and then I'm going to roll on the paradrop chart. Right? The paradrop chart is going to take into account weather and the terrain I'm jumping into. If you can't see the terrain that you're jumping into on the chart, you can't jump there. And then I'm going to roll the die and see if I am going to suffer damage. Right? The chart will tell me, hey, you did fine, step lost, paradrop didn't go well. Free advice, if you really want to do paradrop, try paradropping onto flat surfaces. Probably the best call there, though you can jump into more risky terrain if you so choose. If I paradrop into an enemy zone of control, I'm going to fight in the combat phase. Or I'll have the option to fight in the combat phase. If I do not paradrop into an enemy zone of control, I can move one hex any direction I want. Since I can't, for example, paradrop into a city, this allows me to paradrop outside the city and move one hex into it if it's not controlled by the enemy. That's pretty good. Okay, so that's air movement and paradrop. Air mobile works in a similar way with a few changes. So I have a number of air mobile points. I spend a number of air mobile points for units that are moving by air mobile. And air mobile points can start at an air base, or they can start in an airfield. Remember, an airfield has got the Cessna-looking thing, and it's gray. Air base is the fighter jet in black. And I have 24 movement points that I can expend. And by movement points, I really mean hexes. I can then move 24 hexes away and land anywhere I want. If I land in an enemy zone of control, I can't move. If I don't land in an enemy zone of control, I can move one hex. Note that airborne, paradrop, and air mobile are all subject to air defense fire. So if I nestle up to a sand battery, the sand battery is going to shoot at me. It's going to shoot at my cargo planes or my helicopters or whatever's carrying me. So keep that in mind, right? So air mobile movement, in short, right, start at an air base or an airfield, move 24 hexes. And if I don't land in enemy zone of control, I can move one hex after that. Air mobile, paradrop, and air transport are subject to air defense fire. Okay, what about sea movement? Same basic idea. I'll have a number of sea movement points. I spend a number of sea movement points equal to the stacking value of the unit. That unit starts in a port and then may end its movement in a port or a beachhead hex. Once it's done, it's done. Sea movement at least can't be shot at by SAMs. Good news, everybody. So, those are my fancy types of movement. I have a certain number of air points, air mobile points, and sea movement points that I can use to move units around that are eligible. Remember, if I want to use air movement, I have to start in an air base. If I want to use air mobile, I have to start in an air base or an airfield. If I want to use sea movement, I have to start in a port. And I have to terminate in a valid hex. Air points only land at air bases. Paradrops can land in any paradrop eligible hex. I may have to check to see if I'm hurt. Air mobile has to start in an airfield or an airbase, but can land in any hex. Keep in mind all the movement by air is subject to air defense fire and can be shot at and intercepted. I can move things by sea. I start in a port and I move out to either another port or a beachhead hex side. Now, if I want to create a beachhead hex side, that requires amphibious assault, but that's in a different video. And that's the fancy kinds of movement that exist. Hope this has armed you with knowledge and prepared you to go you therefore and conquer. And I will see you in the next video. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.